to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. And today is Tuesday, June the 24th, 2025. We welcome you to the show. I don't know what happened yesterday that it wasn't recording until like the last 15 minutes. So we missed all the recording of everybody sharing about watching the movie I Can Only Imagine. And that was such a good part of the show. I hate that it didn't record. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, dear heart, and welcome everybody. Delighted that you're here. How does everybody be? Anyone have anything exciting to on their minds? Questions, thoughts, answers, ideas? Support needed? Exciting openings?
I'll share again.
Please do.
This will be perfect because Jeanie, I watched the show. I was guided to watch the show again. I Can Only Imagine.
Ah,
I watched it and I got so much depth in the show. Like the first time you watch it, I guess, the mind's watching it at one level, then you go deeper. And even the songs, like I felt the symbology of the song, even at the beginning, like the different songs that were being played and the symbology of God throughout the whole theme of the movie was really, I would encourage people to watch it more than once, I guess is what I'm saying, because what we shared about, what somebody goes through and having to face the content of their own mind, and then how God is present throughout. But it went much deeper. It's almost like there was symbology and clues with the singing right from the beginning. I took like 7 pages of notes. It was pretty profound. Yeah, I just wanted to,
are you inclined to share any of those notes?
yeah, sure. I just want to, what did I do with it now? Okay, so well, the one for sure that you didn't write the song in 10 minutes, it took a lifetime, right? Then the ELO song of Don't Bring Me Down, right? And you
Right.
cannot go back, stay in the heart of a child, go into the heart of a child. That was a part of the initial part of the song. Like, I mean, that's the innocence which I think Jesus talks about. And then, and then how he was saved by initially as a little boy when he was in the big trauma about Amy Grant's song "Never Alone," her album. I haven't looked at that album yet, but
Right.
I'm definitely.
Music was his lifeline.
Yeah, and really, it's like the clues that are be planting throughout the movie. It's yeah, I found that I wrote that the notes down around that was really important. And then of course, the band members when they said whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right by
You're
Confucius,
right.
right? And then the songs in the storm. There was another song that was in there. So. Yeah, I cried a lot this time. The first time I cried a little, but it opened something. It went really deep into my heart.
I think the music and the melody in that whole um, piece of work was really well done and really carries an energy that does create some openings.
Huge. And then talking about when his manager said to him, "You must find your song, find your soul." At first, when he went and watched him, that's all of our journeys. And then the other thing I saw was the angels embodied who um, gave him the clues for his journey, his teacher, and then obviously his manager. And so when we're open, how the teachers show up. Um, and then he said in the concert where he said, everything in your life is, he was telling the audience, everything in your life is building, building, building for this moment. And then, of course, him having to face his unconscious mind through the characters outside of himself. And then, yeah, I could really see how he had to face the false self. And then at the very end, where the authenticity of God through him in the song, I can only imagine like that. I could just see the false self falling away. And of course, the storyline with his father and how it turned around where God was present and he got to heal the relationship with his father and then come back to his authenticity because he undid, I guess, the energetic patterns of the false self with his father. Yeah, I cried so much the second time around. That's all I'm saying. Just deep, deep, deep sobs with the second one. So,
Mm.
yeah, thank you so much for that movie because it was, yeah, it cracked something open deeply. So, yeah, very profound.
Well, breathing with you
Thank you.
and joining you in really receiving the opening that film presented.
Hmm. Thanks so much.
And one of the things very early in developing this work, when I first started to do relationship work, the workshop that I did was called Healing Your Relationships, because I thought there was such a thing as a diseased relationship. And the truth is, every relationship is a perfect reflection, a perfect creation. And it's through, the workshop is now healing through relationships. It's through our interaction. And when you watch, his disease process and his healing certainly did not come from forgiving his father. It came from facing his own hostility and fear, which not only healed him, not only reflected in a new relationship with his father, but in a new relationship with the friends in his band, in a totally new relationship with his beloved, whom he had trashed because of his internal pain. And yeah, it's just such a powerful picture.
Yeah, it was very, very clear. Just all of it, all the pieces. Yeah, with the depth of it. I mean, the first time I watched it was big, but the second time I was in the presence of it. Yeah, it
Sweet.
was powerful. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, joining you in lots of breathing and allowing every layer that needs to open.
Yeah, thanks so much.
And I think that, one of the reasons why oftentimes people don't pick up the tools when they're offered is they've tried everything and they come to the point where it's just, you know, well, nothing works, so why bother? And when you see something like that film, it opens a space where I think the modeling of, oh, it's really possible is such a profound thing to carry us to depth. And
Yeah, and the tools are everywhere. Like if you have to choose, you have free will when they're offered to take them, when they show up. We don't even realize how much they're going to touch us, you know. So yeah, I could just see the importance of saying yes.
right. And I see Joe has his mic unmuted. So you have a thought, Joe?
Yes, yes. What's the name of this film?
I Can Only Imagine.
Huh.
It's a band called Mercy Me. And it's a story about a young man who's pretty horrifically abused by his father.
Oh,
Mother
wonderful.
abandons. And he, you know, in his rage and pain, leaves home. And it's his healing journey. And it's a true story. And the song it's like one of the most popular songs on the Christian radio scene, has been for several years now. And it came out of his healing process. So if you haven't seen it, you'll find it
Yeah,
powerful. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think you'll find it extremely powerful, uh, because it's really the process of both a father and a son healing and getting out of the projection and taking responsibility. And so pretty profound. I know the first time I saw it, it certainly impacted me and created some nice shifts for me. So I think you'll find it's very enjoyable. And we haven't heard your sweet voice in a while. What's exciting in your world, sir? Anything to share with us? Anything
My,
in
uh,
particular moving for you?
just I would say just working with and happy to really move into a new space, a new mindset. Went for a swim yesterday, um, and then this morning at about, I don't know, 5:30, went for a bike ride, about 15 miles. Um, so just the letting go and or the welcoming of exercise into my life, which has been a big part of my life. And I just always feel so much better. It's one of those delayed gratification things that, um, since the beginning of the year, I've really been, with my dad passing, relationship ending with Susan. I've just been kind of just coasting along, or the sales are down. I feel like I'm raising the sails, for lack of a better metaphor, and moving, allowing the wind to help, and setting the rudder where I want to go. And so it's all good stuff. And of course, contemplating November. I think there's some radical dude that's having some kind of intuitive meeting that I should probably, or I,
Oh, are
not
you going to
should.
join us for that intensive? Awesome.
Well, yeah, I like.
It'd be fabulous to have you there.
I know that. I do. I know that. And I love the way you. Oh, we'll see you there. Okay, good.
It's cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like it.
yeah. I'm glad you do. I don't know
I
though. I
like it.
haven't. Yeah. Well, I like you and Jeanie and all your students. So yeah, I really I don't know. I just think it's interesting that you're talking about a movie with my father, and he he really had two families. It's interesting that my stepsister, she they've I guess they've settled his estate, and she went out and bought herself a brand new Honda Civic, which was like, okay, there you go. It's just she's an immigrant from the Philippines, and I'm sure it's very exciting, and I'm excited for her. And it's just one of those things that I don't know. I just just support her and her choices that she's making, even though they may not be the one that I would make, or that I tried to coach her, but she's going to do what she wants to do, and that's good. It's a good thing. So,
Holding a space.
yeah, yeah. And what else? Heard from our friend Michelle this morning.
How's she doing?
She seems to be the same. Um, I don't know how to express how she's doing. She she reaches out to me, and I don't know why. It's almost one of those things where, why are you even reaching out to me? I don't understand what you're doing. Um, because there isn't any kind of fruit to be harvested, in my opinion. So what's going on? How can I help you? So um, there's that. But I don't. I think again, it's another one of those, much like with my stepsister, is holding a space, being loved, being lovable, and loving, and just focus on my tasks and the desires and wants that I have. One thing I will tell you this, it's exciting. I've been journaling, and I wouldn't say journaling. It's more of a affirmations and or writing down what I'm grateful for, writing down what I would like to have take place on my daily schedule, and
Right.
then certainly asking for the guidance to be shown plainly to me, that God's guidance be shown plainly, that I can see it, I can say I recognize that, and be grateful for that. So it's been very helpful to write things out. So
definitely engages a different part of the brain. And I think when you do, it's like, for instance, with the worksheet process, what I've noticed for myself and with others is that when you put something in writing, you pay attention to it in a different way. You
yeah,
catch things that otherwise would be glossed over. And at least that's what I found for me. And, when I do a worksheet in writing, I usually find that each one produces another 4 or 5 worksheets
yeah, exactly.
that otherwise I would have been able to just ignore. So there's definitely a deepening in the whole objective, to go inside, when you realize that, we've got this untold number of generations that there's been this cumulative energy, both of wonder and excitement and beauty, but also, unfortunately, of dark, difficult to assess unconscious influences, just generation upon generation. When you start delving into that, like,
Yeah, yeah. I think smoky is, to me, that smoke really does look dense sometimes, and then, but the fact is that just being, just holding the space for myself. It's much like with the recovery of my heart from the AFib back in the beginning of the year, is holding myself in a space of love, of loving, and being lovable, and just being quiet. I don't have to, I don't have to do, or I just need to be, and just express that gratitude, and the smoke disappears. But there's so much, like you say. I mean, one way to look at it is this generational aspect of saying there's just so much smoke coming through that threshold.
Yeah,
Mindless. Yeah,
just
mindless.
mindless, and of course the wondrous part is there, but the one that for most people I think has the deepest influence is the dark dynamics of that generational pattern, those generational patterns, the genes, and behaviors modeled by generation after generation of people, just because they have no tools, just trapped in this unconscious pain and the regret of behavior done from hostility, fear, just awakening from that, of just, I quit behaving out of hostility or fear, and and moving into consciously behaving based in the motivation of loving. When I can't, shut my mouth. It's like,
Yeah, that's it.
just, yeah.
I think today I can't get over the fact that our fearless leader used the words, "They don't know what the f they're doing," and I just look forward to 4 or 5 years from now as to the results of having a leader such as our president, and what will be the lessons that we all gain, because he certainly has this I don't know, pain. He has a
I wouldn't
sense
want to
of,
live. I have great compassion
yeah,
when I've read some about his history
right,
and looking at what he's been through, and I thank God I don't have that body. I wouldn't want to live in that body. The trauma, the pain, and the pressure, the stress.
yep,
When in the codependence work, when we recognize when you're ultra stressed, what do? You do what your power person did to you that you hated the most, and
it's in
to
living
rise
color.
above
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
monumental.
That's a big one there. Monumental. It may be monumental, but you know what? even I, or even you, or whoever's listening, can watch that smoke disappear and dissipate, um, just by being aware of another way, I guess, another path. So
Yeah, how many generations in each of our bloodlines have been trapped in behaviors of, behaviors modeled by generations and generations of seemingly unconscious pain. And well, it's just waking up to the fact that the pain is internal, that it's not
yeah,
everything out there, that it's internal. And
yeah.
you know,
And I really appreciate the notion of self-soothing. This is to me
mhm,
something that has to be, and it may not be the way I see it anyway, but for myself, the 20 some years ago, having children come into my life and soothing them and learning how to
right,
soothe Claire and learning how to soothe Logan, and
right,
then just the feedback to myself, to this is how you soothe, this is what you do, Joe, to soothe yourself. And that's really, that's your, the worksheets, uh, the Course in Miracle lessons every day, Ken Wapnick, whoever, whatever people are doing, whatever their path is, but this idea of soothing myself, and not the shame that I have around that. Self-soothing is just, why? If I can't soothe myself, then how can I possibly? Where am I going to go? Or who's going to soothe me? And it is a self recognition of loving myself, of saying this is, and it evolves. As you say. I mean, it's not 5 years ago it was this, 10 years ago it was that. Today it's this, and choices are made, boundaries are set up. So I don't know. Self-soothing.
well, for me, one of the most profound ways to self-soothe, and this is, what I appreciate about Yeshua bringing to the earth, is that process of forgiveness, that you can actually dissolve, you can actually open the veil, the unconscious, and you can literally become the source of the love within yourself, to bring your own being into this structure, soothing, cleaning up, freeing the
Whoa.
the tissue structure from pain. And remember Jonas Salk said, most important thing you can be is a good ancestor. How do you be a good ancestor? You clean up your mind. You clean up the generational patterns of unconsciousness and pain.
Yeah.
I think of so many people. There's one young man in particular who started doing this work about 25 years ago, and he was single when he first came to his first intensive, and had just come out of a dry out. He'd been an alcoholic for several years, and we've had the privilege of knowing him over all these years. And just a couple of weeks ago, I was talking with him, and his daughter is in Washington, D.C. now. He was single when he first started doing this work. And the monumental change that he's made in one generation in his family system. I mean, the stories he shared with me about his father just, looking for ways to hurt him, looking for ways to control him, beat him down. And now he has a daughter who's actually in Washington, D.C. He's just turned the whole family system around, and she's what do you call it, an apprentice in the political system, but really taking in, as a young girl brought up by a father who consciously, purposely functioned, behaved out of love, taught her forgiveness, and now she's taking that into the political system as an intern. That's the word I was looking for. She's now an intern. And, just to have watched this young man over the last 20 years, it's just like, whew, the turnaround in one generation that happens is just monumental.
It's great. Congratulations. I mean, I'll never forget Oak Island. I mean, I've told you the story before, and that is, sitting on that couch there with the rest of the gang at one of your intensives, and something reconfigured in my lower back. And even to this day, I do not have the same relationship with my lower back that I had prior to that intensive, that week or whatever it was. It really, it's always a phenomenal, or you use the word monumental. It was, and it still is. Because I'm reminded if I sit still for long periods of time and then I move, I know I have to stretch before I but I don't experience the same pain because of the monumental forgiveness that I worked through at that intensive with you guys. So thank you.
Honored and delighted. It's it's pretty awesome. And just bouncing off of that feedback, I too, up until about 15 years ago, I had back pain that was relentless. It had never left me. And as a kid, I remember one time I was installing some speakers on a golf course, golf course. And I bent over to do something and I couldn't stand back up. Somebody had to come and literally lift me out of the bent position because of my back. And, went through all the medical stuff, and I had what they called a spondylolisthesis at L5 and blah, 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 blah. And back pain all my life until the day when I handled what that issue was about. And now to be able to twist and turn and lift and, many more times around the sun since then, and yet I can do anything with my back with zero impact whatsoever. And for me, what that's become is now just even the slightest little twitch of something to really pay attention to really process the energy, to really be with the energy and move through it is just it's just such a gift. We actually, Jeanie and I went out night before last. There might be another film everybody might want to watch. I'm thinking I might go. What I might do is start a tradition, because on Friday I'd suggested doing the I Can Only Imagine, but maybe what we'll do is every Friday we'll assign a movie, an intensive movie, because over the years there were many movies that we used in intensives, but we went and saw the new Karate Kid movie.
Oh yeah.
And it was basically a repeat of the first Karate Kid movie. However, the way it impacted me sitting in the theater and took me into a new physiological state of processing grief for me about the hate in the world. If you remember I assume you saw the original Karate Kid movie.
Yep.
So Daniel is the kid, and he's a nice kid and kind of a little bit of a weakling, and then there's the tough, nasty, hateful kid. And so it's a repeat of that. And Daniel's in the film this time too. Only he's not a kid anymore. That movie's what, 25 years old. So,
Yeah.
but the basic storyline is pretty much the same. And the way it impacted me, just sitting and breathing, of especially with what's going on in the political scene, of the need for freeing our world of hatred.
Mm,
It was in the film for me. It was physiological, as you're
mm,
talking about with your spine.
yeah.
And for me, on a daily basis, it's looking at dealing with even the slightest energetic disturbance and working to process through it is just so important.
Yeah. Amen.
Yay. Cool.
Yeah, it is.
Nice to chat with you and hear what's happening, sir.
Yes, you as well. And Miss Jeanie, thank you for all you do. Um, I will bid you adieu.
All right, sir. Appreciate you.
Bye. See you.
Yeah. Anyone else have any wonderful thoughts to share?
Tammy, happy belated birthday.
Oh, yes. Hey, young lady, I just switched over the screen and saw you there. I hope your eternal day, especially sharing it with your son, whose eternal day is the same, was absolutely awesome. And that for both of you, it is the beginning of the best year yet of your eternal lives.
Thank you guys. It was a good day. It was a good day. And we're gonna go do some stuff again today.
Sweet.
I'm still waiting for him to get up because he was off. Being off today, he was up playing video games all night, I'm sure. So um but it's good to be here.
Cool. So your journey, your driving all went well. Long drive. What did you cover?
Um
1,800 miles?
I am not sure. And at one point it was raining and dark and I got on the highway and went 2 hours backwards.
Ouch.
uh so it was 36 hours of driving. Um, and it was rough on my knees and stuff, but I made it. And I, I just didn't get out of the house soon enough because to be able to stop and stay at a campground this long. And then there was tons of rain. So it didn't go the way I had planned, but it went. I made it. Um,
You
and
there and got
hopefully
to hug your son for your mutual birthday.
I did. Yes, I did.
Sweet.
And and see where he lives and all of that stuff. So it's I'm planning on staying for a while and enjoying sharing his life with him.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. Well, anything we can support you with? Anything exciting happening in your process? I
Um
know, like you've just over the last 2 months done such a huge amount of work.
yeah, I think all the stress on the road kind of set me back and I'm getting back to doing what I need to do to take care of myself again. So I'm kind of in a funk, but it's not as bad as it was and I just have to stop trying to be there for everybody else.
Yeah,
You know?
when you get on an airplane, they tell you every time, put your own mask on first.
Yeah.
You definitely
And
need to take care of yourself.
yeah. So that's, an ongoing worksheet for me.
Mm,
Um, and I think like where I'm at is that I just need to get better at embracing it. Like, that which we resist persists and just welcome it and let it move.
and remembering to maintain our true nature as love in what the carbon-based memory mind serves up to us is such
Right.
a big
Right.
shift to make if we've never been taught that, to keep bringing that presence forward and spending
Mhm.
time every day, first thing in the morning, just, be in that practice of connecting with breathing, being with the presence of love that you are, is, I
Yeah.
think, such an important and
And
powerful practice.
absolutely. And it's just since I got, on the road and since I got here and trying to get here in time, I didn't get to do as much of it as I wanted to. Um, so now I have all kinds of time, and tomorrow Alex goes back to work. So I'll be able to take as much time as I need.
Cool.
But looking forward to it.
Well, what a great, I just mentioned when I was talking with Joe about the quote from Jonas Salk about the most important thing you can do is be a good ancestor. And so it's cool
Right.
that you're out there with your son getting to be in the practice of being a good ancestor and, in
Yep,
a
I
very
caught that when you
realistic
said
way.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. In a very realistic way, doing the work required to, in the presence of your son, model that healing process. And
Yeah. Yeah, and I was very disappointed that by the time I got here, my energy was all out of whack, because that's not how I wanted to greet him. Uh, And, you know, that's in the past. All I can do is move forward.
well, I might suggest that even, as he sleeps, a good practice might be to just sit quietly and do a love exchange with him.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Or
I
maybe
never,
even teach him the love exchange and, you know, own, geez, my energy was a little out of whack when I got here and I just I want to initiate a new start. And so there's an exercise I want to do with you and just sit and be that space of love with each other. Who knows what might open?
right. If he would be open to it. And I think he might, especially today, we're going to go out and do something in nature, and it's just going to be us instead of his girlfriend and Aaron and his wife. Um, that he might be open to that in that
Yeah. Yeah,
setting.
out in nature in that environment, that'd be a sweet place to model
Yeah.
for him tapping into the presence of love and extending it to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if he remembers doing it when he was a kid. Because, like, I was talking to him last night about the work it out sheet, and he didn't remember doing that at all. Um,
Right,
it, he remembers some, but and I guess it's all in his subconscious.
right.
Um, and that's kind of my hope is to like bring that to his conscious mind to remember.
Do you have the app on your phone?
I do.
It might be fun to, if you've opened that conversation with him already, and it sounds like you have, because he's like, well, I don't remember that much, to go into the app and do the drag on Klingon game. Just go
Hmm.
through that, and that would probably resonate those brain cells. It's I don't know if you've ever looked at the game
I
in
haven't. I
the app.
thought it was for kids, and
It is,
so
and many adults do it too.
I heard
Use
somebody
it.
talking about that. I heard you talking with somebody about that. I don't know, a week or two ago, and I want to check it out.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, that might. I like the idea of doing that to see if it can get those brain cells going again. But I mean, he seems really happy and content, peaceful.
nice.
Um, yeah. And I met his girlfriend, and she is just adorable and has the sweetest energy. Um, I saw it in her pictures, but seeing it in person, she's just beautiful. She's just one sweet soul. So that makes Mama happy too.
Mm. Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, you can certainly be proud of the fact that you opened a space where you could attract someone with that kind of beauty into his
Yeah.
world. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nice work,
Yeah.
Mom.
Yeah. I keep trying to remember that I didn't screw it all up, you know. Um it's a good thing that he was older when I stopped doing my work, I think. When I took a pause.
Right. Well,
But
and congratulations for restarting,
yeah.
stepping up to the plate, and acknowledgments for you stepped up to the plate in a major way. You know,
I'm doing
the
it.
work you've done in the last couple of months is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think that I have healed so much guilt and self-loathing since the intensive, during the intensive and since that I definitely have a new freedom from that I'm not constantly beating on myself. It'd be
Hmm.
interesting to see where my honor of self is now
Hmm.
because I'm just not doing that to myself anymore.
Okay. So when we get off the phone, log into the letter yagain.com,
Right.
YAGAN.com, put
Mhm.
in your username and password and do a personal code and text me or text Jeanie and let us know you've done it, and we'll send you the feedback.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um yeah, I don't know if I'll get to it today if he's
yeah. No,
oh
wherever
wait
it
a minute.
fits. If that seems appropriate, just go ahead and log in and do it, and just let us know when it works. And once we know that you completed it, then we'll get it scored and get the feedback and what's next on the agenda to handle. Joining you in facing and forgiving the root of any form of suffering, any form of trauma. It's like it's time for us as humanity just be letting go of it. And appreciation for you being on the team and being part of the process. That quote from Rumi, Sufi poet, love is the cure. Your pain will give birth to more pain until your eyes exhale love as effortlessly as your body yields its scent. So joining you and being able to exhale love through your eyes, just that's the space you're so tightly locked into. Live from. And how's everybody else doing? Anyone else have anything to report? Did you have another thought there, Cami? I saw your microphone unmuted and muted again.
I didn't know that it was unmuted. I had muted it. No, I didn't have another thought. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, holding the space. So just the um, the gift for me, the appreciation that I have for the fact that this guy 2,000 years ago came along with a down to earth. Here's how you literally collapse every mental construct based in generational pain here's how you bring love forward, bring your true essence, recognizing that love isn't something we do to each other, it's what we are, and dissolving every dis-ease energy from not only our tissue structure, but from our genes. That is a reliable, functional tool that you can use on a daily basis is just monumental. And, to recognize it, for the most part, our culture teaches us to self-inflict pain. The thought disorders, the power person messages that have been fed to us that have been going on so long in our bloodlines that it just seems like natural, seems like that's the only option. And to wake up to, no, that is not, that's like bizarre to do that to oneself, especially to do that to oneself and blame everybody else. So just, to me, having that tool of forgiveness and recognizing that the tool is one with which you go inside yourself, you bypass, you collapse all the constructs of the mind based in thought disorders of hostility or fear. And one by one, you yank those suckers out and you throw them away. Literally, get rid of them. And that there is an energetic transmutation that takes place that transforms and literally removes pain from the mind, from the nervous system, from the body, from the cell. And calling the truth of being, the truth of who we are as love, into physiology to displace these unresolved patterns of intergenerational dark influences is, it's monumental. I watch my granddaughter who, as Cami was saying, she was referring last week, Jeanie had opened the app, and Aria at 6 did a kids worksheet. And to think, when I think of my own world, I mean, I didn't step into and start to understand there was such a thing as forgiveness. Oh, I'd heard about this thing called forgiveness where you let other people off the hook for what's going on in your life, as though that could give you some sort of benefit. But to really understand that if your physiology is capable of producing any form of hostility, fear, or pain, there are tools with which to remove it is monumental. And the whole objective of this work is to bring those tools forward in a practical, usable way to make the alleviating your life from pain, dis-ease, and suffering, to make that a way of life rather than the trauma-based world that, most everybody I knew was brought up in. It's like, well, you just kind of go from one trauma to another and you have a little fun in between. You get drunk to anesthetize the pain and go on. And to realize how bizarre that world is, and then step into a different commitment to yourself and a different commitment to life. As I said earlier in the show, that originally the workshop I do on relationships was called Healing Your Relationships. And now, or at least within a year or two, I realized that there wasn't such a thing as a diseased relationship. Every relationship was a perfect reflection and a perfect creation that showed us exactly what we need to heal. And to develop a personal code, a way of behaving that enhances the healing process when pain or trauma comes up in the context of relationship. For those who perhaps are not familiar with the tool from that workshop, it's called My Commitment. And I'd like to share it. And as you listen to it, I'll offer and own that it's autobiographical. When I first started to do that turnaround to realize that our relationships are perfect reflections and perfect creations, I basically started to look at, so what can I put into my personal code? What can I put into the way I behave that brings healing to those dynamics that are based in hostility or fear? And if you've been with the work over the years, you've tracked where the commitment was, 30, 40, 50 years ago, and where it is today. And each change has come from either my interaction with someone where I had an insight, where I saw someone with a real trauma going on, and okay, here's how you can bring healing to that one, or, more so was just my own process of what do I put into this personal code in order to be responsible for and heal that dynamic in myself. So if you have engaged in My Commitment, I'll just invite you to just hear it, breathe into it, and consider. And of course, you can go to the website and download it free, whyagain.org. So I promise to trust you enough to tell you the truth, to be true to you, and always engage in just and fair behavior with you. I commit to always be sweetness in your life, to nurture you daily, and treat you lovingly, gently, and with respect in my thoughts, my words, and my actions, whether I'm in your presence or not. In every interaction, I commit to affection for you, to look for and acknowledge the highest and best in you as I surrender to love, our true nature. I will use only voice tones and language that reflect my deep caring for you. My connection to love, our source. Gratitude for my relationship with you. And, when I think of that particular thought, it's just like, how awesome is it to have the privilege of having a human life, and then to have other people like you're doing right now to share that life with us, with each other. It's like, how monumental is that when you look at the vastness of the universe, and just to have that gift, to actually have a human life, it's amazing. So gratitude for my relationship with you, and our serenity will always be more important than any issue. I open my being to embrace you in my love, and I open my being to be embraced in your love. If anything I've committed to here sounds hollow, or anything unlike love comes up in me, I will hold this in my heart and listen as I learn to give up any denial and learn to speak, experience, and be responsible for my own realities. I'm here for and with you. I promise to speak only truth to you as I keep communication open and keep love conscious, active, and present as we heal, celebrate life, and grow together. So I appreciate the opportunity to share that commitment with you. And invite you to take that on as a model for behavior prompts that support us functioning as we are designed to function, when perhaps individually and collectively our minds might have different behavior prompts that would go against that. The generational patterns, unfaced, unhealed. And I breathe with you. And we're down to about 3 minutes. Does anyone have another thought? Anything going on for you to share? Anything for you to express? If not, then I just join you in taking a few deep breaths and tapping into what those words of the commitment resonate for you. Perhaps contemplate how circumstances or situations might be different if you shifted your personal code in the direction of words and thoughts that support you functioning as love. The undoing of the generational patterns in the culture of hostility or fear, and really truly engaging in the process of forgiveness, a la first century Aramaic Yeshua, the tool with which you go inside yourself. When Joe earlier in the show talked about, we were doing an intensive in Okada, and this goes back, 10, 12 years ago. And Joe was sitting there in pain, back pain, and just literally went through a physical transformation in that moment where, I remember him just describing how the energy just started to move and shift in his back, and the pain that had been there for a pretty significant period of time just disappeared. And to be in a community, one of the objectives of this community is to create a space that's safe enough where the things that in one's life that have never been safe to confront, never been safe to bring out into the open, where it gets safe, where there's enough love present to not only create a safe space, but to absorb and dissolve those energetic patterns of the generations. It's the whole objective of this work. And I'm delighted to have the opportunity to share it with you and hold space for you to have the best year yet of your eternal life. The world's in need of it. It's a gift you can give. It's a gift you can receive. Thanks for joining us. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bring a friend with you. Show tomorrow. Blessings. Bye-bye.